Hey guys, Enter the Stars, and we're going to talk about a couple of films that released recently. We're going to finish up the film I Kill Giants, and also we're going to get into the new film called The Titans. Now, as you're going to see later on in this video, the I Kill Giants film pretty much wrapped up with this little girl fighting this giant titan. She calls it a titan. And I noticed that there was a similarity. Obviously, she fights a titan, this giant, and it becomes an analogy for her mother's cancer and all the challenges in her life of just being different. And by the end of that movie, we don't really know if the giants are real or not, but they wrap it all up in this nice little package of this poignant story of a girl who basically experiences loss, and the only way she knows how to deal with it is to get into black magic and sorcery. And this is how they like to pair these things. They do this often. This is why it's so hard for people to let go of holidays, because it's wrapped up in this these poignant moments. Family coming together. We're given the time off of work, and we're kind of almost force-fed their pagan sorcery. So, of course, this Netflix film called The Titans has a similar storyline. They're basically going to turn these volunteers into superhumans. And through this superhuman development, they will be able to live on the moon Titan without having to have actual, life support. They can just walk and talk and breathe and kind of fly around. So we're going to get into the rest of this, but I wanted to show you guys that there are common themes. The Titans, of course, were the giants of old. They may have even been the direct descendants of the fallen angels. So let's take a look at this film. More on this indoctrination going on in this film, I Kill Giants. This is all about indoctrinating children with it's cool to be a witch, right? Or it's cool to practice sorcery and things like that. They couch this in a poignant story of a young girl that is just fighting to, get along in the world, and she's a little bit different, and she suffered loss, and so she begins to associate with this and identify with all of this occult stuff. I want you to listen to this part.
Kovaleski is about to speak.
She says Kovaleski is about to speak. She goes into this box, it's supposed to hold these secrets of power, that has this lightning bolt on it, of course.
Vaughn, she's nothing.
Lucifer, as she's fighting these three bullies, right? She opens this box. Now, this is like Thor's hammer, kind of talks about this box, and it's got Thor's hammer with this lightning bolt on it. And look at her shirt here. It's got the dragon on it, of course. And the importance of repeating these things over and over again and showing you guys is the agenda and the indoctrination. These symbols need to be brought to the surface. They need to be talked about. And look what she pulls out. She pulls out this bone with copper wire. People go on and on about all these discoveries I've made about the copper blue bloods, and they don't believe it. They don't believe that this is real, that this is actually about a bloodline. And here they depict it in the movies. So here you have this copper wrapping of this bone. She says Kovaleski is about to speak. And so I looked up Kovaleski, and of course, he is one of the fathers of sociology in the Russian Empire, Marxism, and an admitted Freemason. So this stuff is real. We're not all crazy. They're putting all this in the films, movies. They're repeating these themes over and over again. He was initiated to 3 craft degree March 14th, 1888, of course, so there's your 88s. They like to repeat those things. And so that's what's going on with this film. Let's continue to decode I Kill Giants. So the girls end up beating her up, and she comes home and she looks in this mirror, and of course it's the shape of the cube on the North Pole of Saturn. It's actually a hexagon, but a hexagon can also be foreshortened into a cube shape just by connecting these central lines on 3 of these points. And of course the cube is the matrix, it's the prison, it's the honeycomb, and this is our prison, basically, the cube prison of this reality. And it's also a mirror that everything. We see everything in a reflection. We see everything backwards. We see everything in duality, in the opposite of what it really is. And we know that the Bible says that the serpent will be bruised in the head. And that's exactly what happens to her. When she gets beat up, she has a bruise on her head. Now, I want to give a couple shout outs to Mark as well as Rachel for helping identify this Hebrew letter that appeared on her back. It was on the back of her jacket. And we've identified this as the letter Resh, which means bowing your head in service to. So obviously, she's bowing to the serpent. This is the kind of indoctrination that they're putting into kids' movies. It's totally inappropriate, and it's actually a form of child abuse if you think about it, and indoctrination on a subliminal level, and it needs to be called out. So there's always these biblical overtones in almost every single film that they release. Now we're going to still need to decode part 2 of the Titans. So stay tuned for that in the next video. Take care and be safe, everyone.